We are watching a new Kevin Durant, a player that is offensively gifted, can shoot lights out, and is almost putting up the same stats as KD, a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Introducing Michael Porter Jr., a player with almost the same physicals as Durant as well, a younger KD with better shooting efficiency. You may be thinking, how does Michael Porter Jr. resemble Kevin Durant? In this video, I will be going over that and why there is only room for MPJ to grow. To add the cherry on top, I will also be covering their identical shooting percentages this year. Stick around to the end of the video so you get all of the information possible. First, let's compare Kevin Durant and Michael Porter Jr.'s physicals. Both have a height of 6'10" and wingspans over 7 feet. They both look like giants out on the court. As you can see, their wingspans add to their defensive abilities and their shot-making ability. They have the exact same frame, which helps the comparison. Porter Jr. has a near center style build, but can play like a point guard. It is unreal how he can move with his frame. Michael Porter Jr. can do everything: finish, make plays, and also play defense. There is a reason MPJ was the number 2 recruit in his draft class. The Denver Nuggets got a steal when they drafted him so low. Now let's take a look at MPJ's second-year season stats compared to Kevin Durant's second-year season stats. KD outscored Michael, but on worse efficiency. Michael Porter Jr. is scoring near 20 points per game on insane efficiency. We have rarely seen this type of shooting for such a young player. MPJ averaged more rebounds than KD, but KD has the edge in assists. Porter Jr. can work on his playmaking, but he still has lots of time to develop. After all, he is only 23 and can be a superstar in the league. They split steals and blocks evenly. There is one big problem though: the games played. It has been hard to keep Michael on the court for more than 70 games in a season. After all, the best ability is availability. Porter Jr. has had injury problems ever since college, so he needs to work on being able to stay on the court. Next, we are going to differentiate their advanced stats. First is the LeBron impact metric, which is how good that player is compared to the average player. Both have a rating of over 2.5, which is very good. KD has the edge, but he is also in his 14th season in the NBA. Both are similar to an extent, and that proves that we are watching a younger Kevin Durant. Second, we have win shares, which is how many wins a player contributes to their team. Michael Porter Jr. gave his team 6.9 wins, when Kevin Durant only gave his team 5. Michael is a young star in the making, and I only expect that number to go up with him getting larger roles over time. MPJ is becoming more and more featured in the Nuggets offense, and I can see him soon being their leading scorer. Now, ORPM, which is that player's impact over 100 offensive possessions. MPJ has an ORPM of 0.6, which is better than Brandon Ingram, Jeremy Grant, and Anthony Davis, offensive stars. KD is on another planet though, but Porter Jr. has room to grow and is already better than those players I named. That is insane for such a young player. Next up is DRPM, which is how good that player is over 100 defensive possessions. Michael Porter Jr. is a whole point ahead of Durant, which is insane. He is already better than Chris Middleton, Brandon Ingram, and DeMar DeRozan, great defensive players. He is already a great defender, and he is so young he can improve his defensive IQ so much. That is scary for the league. Second to last, we have the game highs. Porter Jr. is so young already and only has a game high of 39. Durant has been in the league for 13 seasons and has a game high of only 15 points more. You can definitely expect MPJ to surpass KD in this era where 3-point scoring and shooting is more valued than being good at everything. If this new era of basketball has shown us anything, it's that teams are willing to sacrifice defense at some positions for more offense. Lastly, we have the on-off rating. Durant leads Michael Porter Jr. by 1.5 points. A very small margin for a very experienced player. Expect MPJ to surpass this too. Michael Porter Jr. is a very young player, and I would not be surprised if he led KD in all of these stats by the end of his career. Porter Jr. is a generational talent and a sensational player. Finally, we have to discuss their almost identical shooting stats. This season, they both shot the same field goal percentage. Let me repeat this. Kevin Durant, the best player on planet Earth, shot the same field goal percentage as Michael Porter Jr. This absolutely screams superstar to me. Porter Jr. is shooting worse from the free throw line, but in true shooting percentage, he is only 1% behind Durant. If there was no KD, I would compare Michael Porter Jr. to someone like Zion Williamson. They are so generationally talented that we as a league have never seen anything like them before. We don't know what to expect, but they have insanely high upside. As I said earlier, this new era of basketball favors threes over twos. On pull-up threes, Michael Porter Jr. shoots a better percentage than KD. We have never seen the likes of a player this talented in shooting the ball. You could honestly consider him a 6'10" Stephen Curry. It is almost unreal how great he shoots the ball on the efficiency he shoots it on. Now you should be able to see why I rank MPJ so highly among the NBA's top forwards, and how he is a younger KD. We have never seen a young player this prolific at shooting. This will be Porter Jr.'s third season, and he is already making great strides. I fully expect him to be a superstar after this season. I think it is not logical to say he is not a young star. Some people have been giving him so much disrespect, it makes me insanely angry. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and my videos get recommended to you more. Peace!